We're so glad to have everybody here. My name is Stacy. My pronouns are she and her. I'm wearing a kind of mauve rose-colored sweater with a black background. I'm white with newly dyed hair. And so my hair is kind of dark brownish. And I'm here with you today from Inform Your Community. So happy to have Al with us here as well as our co-facilitator. We'll hear lots more about Al. And Mike is going to be helping us out with tech. So if you need any help there, you can message Mike or put a question in the chat. I also want to let you know that we have closed captioning enabled, so you can turn that on if that is of use for you. At Inform Your Community, our events combine fun with important information about different issues and topics. And today we're here to celebrate the Day of the Dead and talk about Mexican culture. You can find more about Inform Your Community on our website at www.informyourcommunity.org, or social media links, for example. You can sign up for our mailing list, tell our friends to sign up for our mailing list, and also certainly you can find our videos there, our infographics there, and feel free to donate while you're there as well. Every donation helps keeps our events free. So today, as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about Mexican American culture, and it's an important topic, and we're going to learn a lot more about this topic today. So this event is part of our Celebrate and Create series, and that's a children's crafting event. So we have very many of these. We have at least 12 a year, so we encourage you to go check out our website to find out more. And for today's craft, we're going to be making an ofrenda, and ours at the end is going to look a little something like that, except hopefully you're going to have a picture of a loved one in the background. So if you want to go gather that photo now, or certainly you can leave a spot for it later on. An ofrenda are the offerings that are placed on a home altar during the annual Dia de los Muertos event, Day of the Dead celebration. And that's coming up on November 2nd. It's an annual celebration. And our facilitator today is the wonderful Al Gonzalez, and he's a professor of intercultural communication at Bowling Green State University. And he was with us last year to celebrate as well. So we're so grateful to have you here, Al. Mike will help us out with tech, as I mentioned, and monitor the chat. Throughout the craft, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, raise your hand, or otherwise let us know you have a question, or if you have any comments, if you want to share your craft with us, we'd love to see it. Any of your works in progress are at the end as well. And so I picked out the craft today, and I want to tell you a little bit about why I chose this craft, and that has to do with when my kids were younger. They're a bit older now, but when they were younger, we used to go to all kinds of Halloween events, and then there was a museum nearby where we would go to their Day of the Dead event. And at that event, we would see various things, and we didn't quite know what the meanings were. Not knowing a lot about Mexican culture, we always interpreted them kind of in line with Halloween. So we'd see something like the skull, the sugar skull, and we'd think like, oh, like Halloween skulls, right? And they're beautiful and colorful, and they're not really the same thing as Halloween. It happens to be nearby in time and date, but not really the same thing. And we wanted to know more about that, and we wanted to share that knowledge with all of you. And so for Day of the Dead, the afterlife is a very important part of Mexican culture. Not surprisingly, 78% of Mexicans identify as Catholic, and the idea of an afterlife is very much ingrained as part of the culture. Religion is an important value within Mexican culture, and the ofrenda are, like I said, the offerings that are placed to commemorate loved ones and kind of keep them alive in our minds and in our hearts. So ofrenda is a great way to celebrate Mexican culture on the Day of the Dead. And so these skulls help us to remind us of that. So we're going to be looking forward to sharing that with you today. And Alberto, who is the most famous person associated with the afterlife in Mexican culture? Oh, and I think you're muted.
Yeah, probably the most famous is a character called La Llorona, and basically that's the weeping woman, and she's a vengeful ghost, and She flies around, and my parents would always say, if you're not good, La Llorona is going to get you. But she's really famous. She's had movies about her. Universal Studios has exhibits on her. So she's really pretty popular in the US. And I also just wanted to say really quickly that, you know how Mardi Gras is right before the Lenten season. And Mardi Gras is kind of like the party, you know, the celebration. You do everything you want, you get crazy, and then you fast. Well, Halloween is the same. It's the same thing with Halloween. Halloween is the scary part. You go out and dress up, but then you have All Souls Day and All Saints Day. So you've got two holy days right after Halloween. So that's why they're connected the way they are. But you know, these days, people with Day of the Dead, it's not so much about being scary. It really is about celebrating those who have passed, loved ones, and really honoring their memory.
That's great, and I didn't realize that connection between Halloween and Day of the Dead. So I'm glad you shared that with us, Al. So today we're going to be making our ofrenda, and here's what you need for your craft. So if you have our kit, you're kind of all set because you have the ingredients. We'll go through those in a second. If you don't have our kit, I'll tell you what you need in a moment. But also, and I've got my little box of goodies here, regardless of whether you have a kit, there's a few things you're going to need no matter what. And so we have a scissor. You're going to want to have a scissor no matter what. You're going to want to have a photo of a loved one. And again, if you don't have it now, this is my dear friend Ria, who passed. If you don't have it now, you can add that later. So don't worry if you don't have that image. Even if you don't have somebody in mind while you're making it, that's fine too. You can decide that later. You want to have a small bowl. Believe me, this is going to come in handy, whether it's Tupperware, any other kind of container, because our kit has a lot of materials. We're using a lot of materials today. This will help keep those handy and neat. And if you can, a couple of a paper clip or two would help. I would say 2 if you've got them, either this kind of clamp style paper clip or the regular traditional paper clip. Those are you're going to need no matter what. In your kit, and actually, let me not tell you. Yeah, actually, okay. So in your kit, or if you're going to find it on your own, okay, I will let you know what you need. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put all of my items right into my bowl. So if you have your kit, you can just put your items into the bowl, okay? So that way you've got a nice place to keep them nice and handy. So you're going to want to have 2 beads, whatever kind of beads you want. So these were some beads that came with the kit. We gave you a few to choose from, okay? So these are the beads that came in the kit, but this is one I just found around my house, and you can see it there. Okay, so any beads will do. I would say get 2. If you have pony beads, those are great. Sometimes you use those for your hair. If you don't have any beads, don't worry about it. You can draw what we're going to need you to do with those, and that's fine too. You're going to want to have a button. So this is the button that came in the kit. This is a button I just found around my house. So some kind of button would be great. If not, actually a bottle cap is a great thing in a pinch. Our kit came with some string, 2 pieces of string right here. But you can have any kind of a string at home. I actually have ribbon here, really pretty ribbon. You can have embroidery floss that's sometimes used for friendship bracelets, or here's some thread. So any kind of a string, here's some more thread. This is thread, this is a thread. This is a thinner thread. That was tongue twisty for a second. So any kind of thread will do. Then let's see. I would say preferably for that string, if you have it in orange, yellow, or red, those are some great colors. We'll talk about why in a little while. Other item you may want is some miniature fruit or food of some kind. So each of our kits came with one type of food. In this case, I happen to have a hamburger, but there was lots of different types of food and drinks even that we sent out. If you don't have that, you're going to be able to just create your own. So you can kind of draw your own foods on a piece of paper. And so to do that, you're going to want to have some paper if you don't have our kit, and some markers and or pen. I have some markers here, so you can color your food if you want. And then let's see what else. So miniature fruit or some kind of food. We also have in our kit, we have some butterflies. Okay, should have a few different colors in there. Nice thing about these butterflies is that you can fold them in half, which is kind of cool. That's going to come in handy for our craft later. But if you don't have our craft kit, it's totally fine. You can actually just draw your own butterflies. The lighting's a little off on this, but you can go ahead and draw your own food and your own butterflies on your piece of paper. And it's in our kit, you have a piece of fabric. The nice thing about this one is it's not going to fray, but by all means, you can go and get your own fabric, an old t-shirt, anything like that. You can even use paper towel. I remember using paper towel for clothes for my dolls when I was young. Paper towels are really handy to use for different crafts. So also in our craft kit, we have some paper, very decorative paper like this, which we'll talk about as well. You can actually use, one of the things I like about this ribbon is because we can use that in place of that paper in some ways. Or you can go ahead and use a doily. If you have a doily, that would be useful. Or you can, again, just cut out some paper, kind of like if you ever made a snowflake, you can cut out some decorative paper like that. So that paper is going to be really handy. And if you have colorful paper, even better. If not, you can just use markers to make your paper and artwork colorful. Hold on one second. We're going to ignore that noise for a second. So sorry. So we have also a cardboard box that's really important. And so we have our kit. The box that actually came in is going to be used for our ofrenda, or you can use any box you have at home. So even this box, let me see here if I can show you this box that I put all my stuff in. I can use this box for my ofrenda. So you can really use any kind of a box. Cardboard is great. Ideally, you know, a smaller size is makes it a bit cuter. But other than that, it's fine. Whatever's going to fit on your countertop. And in a pinch, you can use a plastic. You can use a container. You can use Tupperware, whatever you want. Additionally, we have just a few more pieces. We have 2 blocks in our kit, but also you can kind of use beads. You can use anything to kind of take this place. You want something for the legs of your table, of your altar. But in a pinch, you can use, we're going to tell you how to use toilet paper rolls to do that. And then we have in our kit, we have a little plank, which is going to be the top of our altar. Again, you can use a piece of cardboard, or we can use our toilet paper roll for that same purpose. And then lastly, I think there's so many pieces in our kit. We have some flowers. We have 2 different types of flowers in our kit. We have this type of flower, which is kind of a plastic flower, and we have 2 of those, and we have a little fabric flower. If you don't have our kit, totally fine. Maybe you have some flowers around your apartment, some little ones, maybe dried flowers, or you know, plastic flowers. Maybe you have dollhouse flowers, Lego flowers, things like that you might want to use. But in a pinch, you absolutely can use this trusty old paper towel to make some kind of tissue paper flowers that you can use as well. So a lot in our craft today. We're going to have a lot of fun, a lot of materials here to work with. In the meantime, while our folks are gathering their materials and sorting out, looking through what they have here, maybe looking for their photo, Alberto, do you want to tell us a little bit more about some fun things in Mexican culture?
Yeah, sure. I'd be happy to.
Great.
Well, one of the things that's really fun is music. And you know, we even as a kid, I would go to dances on Saturday night, and we would help the band. And so you might be familiar with mariachi music. There's also norteño music, ranchera music, and those are different kinds of regional styles of music. There was one very well-known artist named Juan Gabriel, and he was a very successful singer, became actually world famous, but particularly in Mexico. And I was able to see his mansion when I was visiting in Juarez a few years ago. And it's this really immaculate place now. I mean, he passed away a few years ago, so you could put him on an altar. Yeah, I had posters from movies and concerts, and that was pretty amazing. And Selena Quintanilla is a Mexican-American singer who became very famous in the 1990s, particularly and her music was wonderful. And in fact, my daughter got married a few weeks ago, and the father-daughter dance was to a Selena song, Bitty Bitty Bum Bum, and that was really fun. So music is fun. Lots of accordions, lots of acoustic.
Congratulations, by the way.
Oh,
Congratulations.
thanks. Yeah, I have to see that video, see how it worked out. But music is fun, and if you go online, you can see people dancing and listen to different songs. So I would encourage people to just look up ranchera music or cumbias and see what you get.
That's fantastic. Maybe next time we do this event, if you join us next year, which of course we hope you will, maybe you can we can show a video of your daughter's wedding.
Or maybe screenshots, maybe. I don't know.
Okay,
I don't know
screenshots. We'll
about the
take
video.
it. We'll take it. I'd love it. And what other forms of art are important in Mexican culture? Because we talked a lot about music, which is amazing. What else?
Well, the arts are really very important. Guillermo del Toro is a famous director, producer, and a lot of people might be familiar with a movie that he produced. It's called The Book of Life, and this is the Blu-ray of that. And it really is sort of inspired and themed around Day of the Dead. And so I would encourage people to look at that. Frida Kahlo is another very famous artist. In fact, on one of our walls, we have a tile of Frida Kahlo because she's so inspirational. I mean, her works are so profound, they are so personal, but they're universal at the same time. And she did art actually in Detroit for a while. Detroit is about 2 hours north of where I am. And so Frida Kahlo is a very important artist. And so Mexican art, it actually permeates into the United States popular culture. And so you will encounter it quite often.
That's great. I think there was an exhibit nearby here recently as well. And I actually got my dear friend a pair of Frida Kahlo earrings, which she loves. Every time she wears them, she's like, I'm wearing the earrings today. So she absolutely loves them. So that's great. Excellent. And I know we have our own little artists here as well that are, I'm quite sure, eager to move on with our craft. So let us get started with our craft here. And if you have somebody in mind for who you want to commemorate by this with this ofrenda, please do keep that in mind as you're making it. In Mexican culture, it's not only just about your immediate family, but extended family like cousins, and there's multi-generational families are so important in
Even
Mexican
pets.
culture. I'm sorry?
Even pets.
Even pets. Oh, that's great. That's a really valid, excellent point. And so we want to make sure we're commemorating those that we love. And it's so important, even though maybe we're from all different kinds of cultures, as you work on the craft, think about this person that's in your life that you want to kind of value and hold in your heart and respect. So let's start with our cabinet. This is going to hold our altar. If you have our kit, essentially what it involves is the box that all the materials came in, and then there's a foam piece in the back. Now, for some of you, that foam piece fits perfectly, in which case you don't need to do anything else with it. For others of you, you may find that if you do this, the foam piece slips out. If you don't want it to do that, it's actually a sticker, so you can go ahead and take it out. So I'm taking it out of mine. You can take it out and just go ahead and peel off the back. And when you do that, you can then just stick it right in, and then it won't come out. Having said that, you don't even need to do that, because once we put in the altar, you're going to find that foam piece isn't going to move anyway. So if you want to, you can just peel off the back of that sticker and go ahead, stick it to the back. Otherwise, just leave it the way it is. It'll be fine. It'll work itself out. So that is our container. If you don't have our kit, you don't have to worry about a background. Use whatever box you have, just the way it is. So that is fine. You can always kind of decorate it later. And so let's see. Now that we have our kit done, we can move on to the altar portion of it. And so for our altar with the kit, you have the two little wood blocks, and you have the top part, right? And we're going to take out our glue stick. So those of you who have our kit, it came with the glue stick. Okay, so you're gonna, if not, if you don't have our kit, you could take a toilet paper roll or any kind of bead, anything that can serve as legs on the table. You can be creative there, and use those. But I'm going to show you how to do it with the toilet paper roll. For the toilet paper roll, I'm just going to cut. You don't want it too high, because at least, you know, depending on your box, right? So I'm just doing mine about a 1/2 inch, and I'm just cutting straight across. And this is going to serve as the legs of my table. So from the outside, all you're going to see is that, right? So you won't even know what this is really made out of. And then for the top part, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to save some of this if I want it later. But I'm going to take my toilet paper roll. I'm going to cut. And I'm going to cut over here. And that's going to be the top of my altar. I may try to kind of flatten it out a bit. Okay. And so that is going to be your altar. And from the side, it's going to basically look like that. So you'll have your altar this way, or you'll have your altar that way, depending. So if you have our kit, first thing you want to do, so we have our cabinet, and this is so that it can close. I do want you to keep in mind that in order for the cabinet to close, you need to not have anything on this side. If you have anything on this side and you try to close it, it's not going to close. So it's a cool feature that it can close and open. So if you like that about it, just make sure you do not put anything too close on the right side. So you're going to take your glue stick, and you're going to.
I'm sorry, can I interrupt for a minute?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah,
Hello.
I have a hard time seeing your camera's pointing on your shoulders and your head, but I can't see what your hands are doing.
Oh, excellent point. Let's see if we have that in focus mode. But otherwise, if you thank you for letting us know. If you swipe on your screen, you should be able to see it. But I will make a point to show what I'm doing in the main screen as well. So let's see. And let's see, I think there might be a question here in the chat. So let me just check that out.
Thank you.
No, the chat's the same. You can try, if you go to the top of Zoom. Hi, I'm the technical consultant here. You can go to the top. If you go to your view, if you go into speaker mode, that should help if you're on a computer. I don't know if you're on a phone, but we do have all three of these pinned and spotlighted, so you should be able to see them. You just may have a different view, or you're only seeing one of the cameras.
I could see it now. Thank you.
Excellent.
Great.
Thank you so much for bringing that to our attention. I'm sure there's some other folks who might have been affected by that as well. So what we have here, and thanks, Mike, what we have here is I just put some glue on the bottom of these two cubes. Okay, and I'm going to put them on the bottom middle of my box, right, like that. Oops, let me see. Now I didn't show it in either one of the screens. Here we go. Right in the bottom middle of my box like that. I'm going to just take these out for a moment to show you that if you're doing it on your own at home, you can do the same thing with this toilet paper roll. And you're going to glue the bottom of the toilet paper roll and put it right on the bottom there. Okay, the next thing to do would be to do the top of your table. You're going to glue the top of your table, of your altar, and you're going to put it there. Using a toilet paper roll, it wants to curl. So I would say holding that down for a while is a good idea if you're using toilet paper roll, because you see it'll pop right back up. So either hold it down for a while, or you can put something on it to kind of weight it down. But either way, eventually that will stay. And for our purposes, though, I'm going to go ahead and keep this one in here. So you can see, and I'll show you here too, our two little pieces. And then you can go ahead, if you have our kit, you're going to take the top part, that wood piece, and put it right on top. I would say you want to spread out the legs. You can keep them close together, but you don't need to keep them close together. It's a little bit more stable if they're separate. Okay, so you have it like that. There you go. Okay, fantastic. Or if you don't have our kit, then you're going to have something like this in your box. Okay. Next part. So I'm trying to get the altar, all of the altar done before I know we want to hear what Al has to say, but I'm trying to get the altar done. And this part's a little trickier, okay? Is we have, if you have our crafts kit, you have this fabric, right? Now you can choose if you want this decorative line to show, or if you don't want the decorative line to show. So you have a little bit of choice there for your ofrenda. I'm going to go ahead and let mine show, which means I am going to glue the other side of it. So you can really just glue either piece. And I'm going to glue it in a very special way. I'm going to glue the middle of it. Okay. And then working towards me, I'm going to go diagonal to the corner with my glue and diagonal to the corner on the other side towards me. Okay. So we're leaving this side blank. And then I'm going to go just in the middle of the back. Okay, so I'll show you that again. So you're doing the opposite side that you want to show, glue the middle, and then towards you to the corner, closest to you, you're going to put the glue. Also towards you, but on the other side, you're going to put the glue towards the corner. And then in the back, do a little bit extra in the back middle. And I'm going to show you why. Okay. Is we're going to put this right on our, so this is our tablecloth. Okay, so we're gonna, coincidentally, my back actually matches my tablecloth, but that is not the way it is on everybody's. So I'm going to put this, and I think colorful is more better anyway, and in keeping with the occasion. So I'm kind of pushing down on the tablecloth, and then in the front, so I'm pushing down to make sure that the glue adheres to the top. And then in the front, I'm pinching that corner. And then I'm going to go pinch the corner on this side. Now, if you have the glue there, you don't need to do anything else because there's your little tablecloth, right? And it looks like it's coming down, it's draping nicely. If you didn't glue that corner, you can use those pins, not pins, what did I call them? They are paper clips. You can go ahead and use the paper clip. And even if you don't glue it, you can put the paper clip on the end, and that's going to hold it to that form, because this material that the kit has is very good at kind of keeping shape once you make it go into a shape. Okay. Now, if you have the other table, same thing is going to apply. Whatever fabric you're going to use, you're going to put it on top and do the exact same thing. So you're going to drape the fabric over, pinch the two sides, put that, use the paper clip for them, and they'll hold on there. So, whew, that was a long way to talk about this this altar, and it is a key part of our ofrenda. It's where we place the offerings on and near the altar, and these things are meant to be items that were loved by the person that we're commemorating. We're going to add flowers and a candle, and that candle is going to help guide our loved ones by the smell of the candle and its light. Keep in mind, we don't want to use an actual candle here. This is just kind of symbolic, and that's okay. So these are kind of symbolic. And even if the food that you have on the ofrenda that we've provided in our kit is not their favorite food, that's okay. It's really meant to be a symbol of something in this case. So yes. Yeah. So, okay, good. So, and favorite foods are often placed as an offering. So, I can go here. So wait, I think, Al, I think you brought a prop for us, right? Related to food?
Yeah, well, food really is pretty important. I think Mexican food and Mexican American food and Tejano, Tex-Mex is really pretty popular. I think that makes up about 11% of all the restaurants in the United States. I mean, who hasn't heard of Taco Tuesday, right? So it's really pretty popular. In fact, the day after Thanksgiving, or probably that weekend, we will be making tamales. You know, we love to make tamales, and actually, you know, it's true that, you know, my daughters, they're used to using a knife and fork and a spoon and a fork, and we use those. But most of the time too, we'll just use our tortillas, and tortillas are good. And we have flour tortillas. We also have corn tortillas. and the yellow ones are best. And sometimes I'll talk to people and say, well, you know, if you really want to let people know, say that you know the difference between the A and the B side, that there's a top and a bottom to a tortilla. And well, there actually isn't, but it can be any side you want. So so if you want to be an expert, just name a side. But food is really important, and especially for the ofrenda. Lots of times, you know, if people, sometimes you'll even see like a person's favorite coffee, and other beverages that they might have enjoyed, and so it's really an opportunity to be able to have that reflect what people were like when we knew them, and so it's a good way to just kind of honor their memory and honor what they were like.
That is, I love the A and B side. That was great. I had Mexican food just last week, and I'm so sad to say I just found out my favorite Mexican food place just closed down, so I'm horrified.
Oh, no.
It was my favorite one, and it was nearby, so that made me so sad. But we definitely love Mexican food in my household. And food is the next part of our craft, but I just want to show you real quick that we have, so this is kind of, if you're using your own materials, this is with the toilet paper roll and making the tablecloth with the paper towel. Now you might think, oh, like a paper towel, that doesn't look so great. But actually, I think it could look a little maybe even better than our kit, because it's got these cool bumps on it, depending on what kind of paper towels you use. It may even have a flower pattern on it, right? So the paper towels can be very innovative. Plus with the paper towels, you can actually draw on them, which is really cool. So you can decorate it however you want. So you have a lot of flexibility when you're using that paper towel. So food is the next component of our kit. And we have kind of two parts to that if you have our kit. So one part of it is our plate, and then, which is really a button. And the other part of that is some type of food item. If you don't have our kit, again, I just pulled the kind of random button. So you can use that, any kind of button around the house, or bottle cap. And then for the food, you can actually just draw a picture. And I had my kids draw a picture, and we've got like a little hamburger. Right, maybe I'll show you here. A little hamburger over there, and a little hot dog over there. And you can actually just draw the picture, and then we'll show you how to make that a little bit 3D. So for this, we're going to go ahead, and by the way, let me take a minute and just show you a finished one. This is one of ours from last year, and that's my dad, who in there passed away in 2018. But so we're going to go ahead and we're going to glue one side. You can pick whichever side you want to be the bottom of the plate versus the top of the plate. I actually want my plate to be a little exciting, so I'll make the exciting part of my button the top. That means I'm going to glue the other part, and in this case I'm going to put it on the side of the altar right there. So I'm putting it on the side, and then I'm going to take my food and I'm going to glue the bottom, and then put my little hamburger there on top. And so I have my little plate. I'll show you in this screen. I have my plate with my burger on it. I'll do the same over here. And you can of course add things if you don't like the food that we gave you. You can go ahead and pick something different. Buttons are pretty cool to use as plates, because if you look at it, it does kind of look like a plate, except for the two holes in the middle. It does look a bit like a plate, and you can cover up those holes pretty easily. So I'm going to cut out my hot dog here, and you can of course color this. You can color it later. So I'm going to cut out my hot dog, and then I'm going to go ahead. If you want to make it sticking up, you just crease the bottom the slightest bit, and then suddenly it'll pop up, which is kind of cool. You make it into a little bit more of a 3D element. And so there you go. So I don't know, can you see my little hot dog? Let me see. You can see the little hot dog standing up. Of course, it'd be nice if it was colored. So you can always color that later as well. So while our crafters are making their fruits and putting their food, I shouldn't say fruits, but food on their plates, can you share some history about Mexican culture? Some history of Mexico?
Well, yeah, and it's really a rich history. I've been to Mexico City, and there are these anthropology museums that really chronicle the indigenous and the native cultures in Central America and in Mexico. And you know, we've heard of the Mayans and the Aztecs, but there were also the Zapotec and the Totonac, and so there were different civilizations, different cultures, and all of them had an influence. And so then when you have the Spanish basically colonization, invasion of Mexico, then you have greater differentiation. And so you have these ancient civilizations, but then you have sort of modern ethnic groups coming up, and so the combination of the European and the indigenous cultures is basically how I identify as mestizo, and I call myself a Mexican American, but ethnically I think of myself as mestizo, which is that combination of the Spanish and the indigenous. And so there are many different ethnic groups in Mexico, and it's just more diverse than you would think. Mexico is also like the #1 trade partner for the United States, which was something, it's always been #2 next to Canada, but I'm not sure exactly what the dynamics are, but now it's the #1 trade partner of the United States. And that's where we get avocados, and the United States will send a lot of food, but also machinery and different industrial parts. And so there's really a lot that has happened. And we have to remember too that the Western United States used to be part of Mexico until the mid-1800s. So that's why you have states that are named like New Mexico, California, Montana, Nevada, which is from nieve, snow, the high mountain snow, Colorado, all of those are Spanish words. And that just indicates that area really was Mexico before it became the United States.
That's a great point, especially some of those words I didn't know were of Mexican origin. So that's really interesting. And I know I lived in San Diego, and going to Tijuana in Mexico was just like, just going down the block, basically. It was so close, right? So we really do have that border at still to this day, right? We're not going away anytime soon, which is great. So we could probably talk about Mexican history for a long time. But we've got to get to our next step in our process. So I want to make our candle, okay? And so in this case, you really can use any of the beads that came in the kit. I like to use this little one. It's a cute little rectangular bead. If you don't have our kit, you can use one of the 2 beads you hopefully found. We're going to take that. We're also going to take, I would say, the darker color string that came in the kit. We'll take just a little tiny piece of it, actually, if it's frayed, I like to cut off the end a little bit. Take a little tiny piece of it, maybe a ½ an inch, and that's going to be our frame. If you have your kit at home, you can do the same thing with whatever, if you don't have our kit, you can do the same thing with whatever string you have. But basically you want to take a bead and a piece of string is what it comes down to. And this is going to be a little counterintuitive, but you're going to take your glue, and even though you don't have the string in your hand, you're going to take your glue and try to push the glue into the hole in that button right on top. Okay, that's your goal there. You're going to take the glue and try to push it into the hole. You're then going to take, and this is going to be really hard to see. This camera doesn't focus so good close up, so I'm going to do it on the other one. So I have my little string and I have my little candle, and I'm going to put my string on my candle. Now you'll notice it goes a little sideways. You can try to make it go tall, but the best way to make it go tall is if you do have some way to poke it into the hole. In my case, I'm going to take a paper clip. And you don't have to do this now, you can do it later. So you can probably get it to go like that. And flames will do that if there's a little bit of a wind, they'll go sideways. But you can poke, just look, it took just one poke for me to get it sticking straight up. So try to poke it into the hole and that glue will hold it in. So once you do that, and that's the same thing whether you have our kit or your own kit, your own materials. Once you do that, you're going to then glue the bottom of the candle, and then we're going to put it right on top of our altar, right? I like to put it in the back, right? It can be really anywhere. What I'd say is you don't necessarily want it right in the middle, because depending on the size, depending on the size of your picture, you might, oh, my candle's sticking to my hand. You might have that candle like right in front of the person's face. You don't want to do that necessarily. So I try to put it a little bit to the side on that altar. So there you go. So same thing if you don't have our kit, this process is the same. You'll take one of your beads that you have and put that string right in it. Next thing I want to do is I want to do the vase with the flowers. So if you have our kit, you're going to go ahead and take the and I like flowers. I'm guessing there's some folks out there who like flowers. So if anybody likes flowers, feel free to put in the chat what your favorite flowers are. You can let us know, or just that you like flowers. So we have some plastic flowers here. We're going to set those aside for a moment, and we're going to choose from one of the remaining beads. If you have our kit, you have these 3 beads to choose from for this part. And so what do you want your vase to look like? Just so everybody can see it more easily, I'm going to go ahead and pick, actually, I'm going to pick the nice bright red one as my vase. You can see in this one of our crafts, I've got the big bead. Can you guys see that? I'm using the big bead in that one. And so I'm going to go ahead and use the red bead for this one. I'm going to do very similar to what I did with the candle. I'm going to put the glue, let me do it here, put the glue on one end where there's a hole and try to get it into the hole as much as possible. The glue sticks we sent out they're purple now, but they will fade to white, to clear eventually. So don't worry about the purple sticking out. You can make it messy. So you have your bead with the glue on it, and you're going to take one of the flowers. Oh, and somebody said they love sunflowers. I do like sunflowers. I have a friend who one year was just taking, every time she saw a sunflower, she took pictures. So here I've gone ahead and just poked, because the plastic flowers are stiff, unlike that string, you can just poke them right in. So they'll go in pretty nicely. So you have your flowers there and the glue will hold it in. You're then going to glue the other side, and we're going to put our flowers on the opposite side of our altar. You'll probably want to glue the bottom a lot, perhaps a lot more than I even did just then. There we go. Put a whole lot of glue on that bottom. You could always reinforce it later with another kind of glue if you find this is not holding, but there you go. So we have the flowers on one side, the food on the other side. We have our candle. Mine just fell because I tilted it. There we go. We have our candle on top. So let's see what is next for us. We already talked about, let me tell you about how to do the flowers if you don't have our kit. So if you don't have our kit, you can still use a bead. You probably have a bead at home, a pony bead or something along those lines. And you can go ahead, and I kind of love this. You can make a very fancy flower with a paper towel, but I'm going to say all you need to do, you have a little square piece of paper towel, pinch it in the middle, and then twist. And then for our purposes, that looks a bit like a flower there. Again, these are kind of symbolic. So you can go ahead and do that. And then you can glue make sure the bottom is twisted really tight, glue that and try to stick it onto the bead. Now, you can make this prettier, you can color this. Again, paper towels are really versatile. You can color it, you can cut it so that it's not, you don't see the corners, however you want to do that, and then stick it in. And Al, I keep asking you to tell us stuff while our crafters are doing things, but I hope you don't mind. You're just a wealth of information. And earlier you were talking about different native cultures that made up Mesoamerican civilization in Mexico. What can you tell us about the cultural groups today? I think you did tell us a bit about this. Is there anything we needed to add to that? Or I think you might have covered this.
Well, more specifically, about 62% of the population in Mexico would identify as mestizo, as that combination of the Spanish and the indigenous. About 28% are indigenous peoples. Afro-Mexicans are about 2.4%, Asian Mexicans are 1%, Cubans are 2.5%, and then other groups. So there really are, depending on the different migrant flows and population flows, you do have diversity within what we would normally think of as a fairly homogeneous society, which it's more diverse than we would think. The other thing I wanted to mention about the flowers is that traditionally on the ofrenda you put marigolds, and I think it's because of the way they smell, but I'm not positive about that. The other kind of fun fact is we've heard you know the word margarita, like the drink, a margarita. And that's actually a Spanish word for daisy. So if there's a woman whose name is Margarita, chances are her nickname is going to be Daisy.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. And you do make a good point about the flowers on the ofrenda and the marigold. I do remember reading that the smell of the flowers and the light of the candle are both supposed to guide the spirit.
Right.
So yes, I think it is because of the smell, like you mentioned. And while you were mentioning that, I did go ahead and put our for the non-craft kit folks, I did go ahead and put the bead with my little homemade flower right next to it. And again, I can make these all kind of fancy later. And I have a fun fact, by the way. You gave us some great statistics. Mexican businessman Carlos Slim was the richest person in the world from 2010 to 2013. So it was a while ago. It's not a name I knew, but I thought that was really, really interesting. We hear a lot about different names of people, like the richest people, and apparently Carlos Slim was the richest person from 2010 to 2013. So we're almost done, actually. We're doing a bit well on time, but we've got a couple of really important parts to do to finish up, okay? So we want to make, well, 3 parts, okay? So first is our butterflies, okay? So if you have our kit, you can take one of our butterflies, there's a few in there, you can fold it in half and just glue one side of it and go ahead and put those on the background. Don't put it in the middle because you're going to put your picture there, okay? So in my case, I'm folding one, I folded one, I glued one side of it and put it on the back. This one I'm going to go ahead, because I like a little variety, I'm going to glue the whole thing on the back, not fold it. I'm going to put it on the other side so you can see how that looks. There's a little shadow in that, so let me show you here so you can see how that looks. If you don't have our kit, you can go ahead and draw a butterfly. I mentioned that there were some butterflies drawn on here. You can go ahead and draw a butterfly and cut that out and paste it on the back later. And butterflies, do you know, Al, do you know why butterflies are associated with ofrendas and Mexican culture?
Not specifically butterflies, although I do know that a lot of butterflies will migrate to the U.S. from Mexico, Central America. I have a cat issue here.
Oh, my cats are staying clear today. So yes, I saw a lot of ofrendas that have butterflies associated with them. And then another part of our craft is going to be our garland. So if, regardless of whether you have our kit or not, it's going to be basically the same thing we're going to be doing. So you're going to cut a string that's the length of whatever your box looks like. In our case, we have them pre-cut. If for our kits, you would probably use the lighter one if you use the darker string for your flame, because if you use the darker one, it may not be long enough anymore. And we're going to take the flower that came with the kit, and we're going to, and these are supposed to represent marigolds, by the way. So I'm glad you mentioned marigolds before. Our little flowers in yellow or orange are going to represent our marigolds. And we're going to, if you have a difficulty fine motor skills, this might be a little tough, so you may want to get a parent to help you. You're going to thread your string through the, what would be the leaf of the marigold. Okay, and that's what I'm trying to do here. And see, there you go. And so you'll have the marigold or symbolic marigold hanging off of that. And then you're going to glue each side of your string. I'm doing it off camera, but you can glue each side of your string just by putting the glue on it. You can even just do it. You can see me do it here, right? Just glue it, right? Any way to get that glue on the side. And what you're going to do if you have our kit is you're going to tuck those ends into the top. You see on the top of this, there's a little hole here, not a hole, but kind of a space. You're going to tuck on one side your string in there. Your hands might be sticky like mine. And in a pinch, you can just put it on top. It doesn't have to be tucked in. Don't worry about that too much. Okay, maybe hold down the top so it stays in a little bit until the glue dries, and then go to the other side and go ahead and do the same thing. Tuck it in. If you have nails, these will come in handy to kind of push it in, and again, tuck it down. And then what you'll have is your marigold hanging off the top. You'll see it there. If it's hanging too low, you just have to push that string in even more on the side. So you have your marigold. If you don't have our kit, you're going to perhaps find some flower beads in your house, or make some flower drawings, and you can just glue them on to your string. And then the last piece of our ofrenda is to make your paper edition. And for ofrendas, this paper edition, it's called pierced paper, called pierced paper or papel picado. Now, is it papal picado or papal picado? I think I was right the first time. Oh, you're muted, sorry.
Yeah.
The first time, papal picado. And this symbolizes, this paper with the holes in it symbolizes air, and the four elements that we've included. Air is one of the four elements we've included in our ofrenda that are important. Air represented by the paper, food representing the earth, water represented, and this we did not add, by a glass of water. And because we're dealing with paper, we didn't want to, ship our water to you, but you could certainly use a little bead and have that symbolically represent a glass of water, and add that to the ofrenda as well. So we have air and water and earth, and fire represented by the candle. So the paper, the candle, the food, and then a glass of water representing the four elements. So our paper, in our case, we have two pieces. You may have different colors. I want you to just fold the tips. How are we doing on time? Fold the tips of each of these real quick. And then you're going to glue the top of it, the part that's kind of poking out towards you. So not underneath it. You're going to glue right on top where you folded. This is pretty easy. Once you do that, you're going to glue them, push them down on the top of your cabinet so they hang down decoratively. So if you don't like them that long, you can do them a little bit shorter. On this one, we have them a little bit shorter, so you can kind of see. I'll show you here. And just push them a bit in so you know that they're going to stay. And so that is our paper. If you don't have that, you can actually use any paper. And then if you've done kind of what you do with snowflakes, if you've ever done this, is you cut you fold the paper over and then you make little incisions in it, right? You can make your own hold paper at home, right? With that, and then you can cut it and add it yourself. Last piece you're going to do either now or later is take your picture of your loved one, and you're going to glue the back of that and paste it on. Okay, and so then you'll have your ofrenda all complete, and we want you to cherish that and know that you're commemorating somebody you've loved and keeping them in your hearts. Thank you so much. We're short on time. We're probably going to be just another 2 minutes if you can hang in there while you're finishing up your craft. I want to say thank you very much to Al for being our guest today and our co-facilitator telling us about our craft. Thank you for being here, Al. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. And I did do a quick search. Butterflies are believed to hold the souls of the departed ones, and particularly the monarch butterfly, because they go back to Mexico on November 1 to spend the winter there in the south, and it coincides with Day of the Dead.
Thank you so much. So that's excellent. So you're right about kind of the migratory pattern. Isn't that so interesting? So glad you looked that up, helped inform our audience today. And also, if you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to press like. Check us out on our website at www.informyourcommunity.org. We're going to put up a poll for you right now. If you can just take a minute. Do you want us to post our project on Instagram? We would love you to do that. We were going to say, if you want to tag us, post your projects. You can show us in screen now too. We would love to see what you all made. But yeah, we're always happy to see the good work we've done go out there and educate more people and help them learn about our organization, and in this case about Mexican culture. So please do. We're going to throw up a poll for you in just a minute as soon as Mike is ready to show that for us. If you can take that poll just to let us know
What is up
today. Sorry, yes, Mike. Oh, if you can put the
Sorry,
poll.
the poll's been up.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Great. Thank you. So the poll's up. Go ahead and take that first. You can go ahead and tag us. Mike put the hashtag in the chat, #InformYourCommunity. And Mexican cultures, it's such a rich culture. We just touched the tip of the iceberg on understanding it and learning about it. And we encourage you to find out more about Mexican culture. Coming to this event is a great start. We also suggest, go celebrate Day of the Dead. It's coming up. Celebrate other holidays. Learn about other holidays like Quinceañera, which is a girl's 15th birthday celebration and rite of passage. So learn about other aspects of Mexican culture, including, go grab some Mexican food, right? So in addition to our poll that you're getting right now, you'll see a poll in our post-event email. That email will have not only another survey for you with different questions than we're asking you right now. We ask, please help us improve our events by filling that survey out as well. Just take a minute. We'll also include our event video, so you can share that with others, watch it again if there's any parts you've missed. This is a great craft to do with friends once you get the video. Also, you'll get our infographic as well. Please share that widely. We have an upcoming event, another Celebrating Creative event, which is our Celebrating Hinduism event. And so we encourage you to come to that event. We're actually going to be making candles in that event, or candle holders, I should say, at that event. And that's on November 18th at 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have plenty of events coming up, as well as a small business event. It's going to be a movie night. So from our Popcorn and Chat series. So check that out on November 16th. Remember, all of our events are free. And we ship our materials for free, and we don't charge for our materials either. Please do consider donating so that we can keep our events free and our materials free, and so forth. You can check out other events we have from our 6 different programs on our website, www.informyourcommunity.org. We're so grateful to have you here today. Thank you, Mike, for helping us out. Thank you, Al, for all your wonderful information and sharing all your artifacts that you have in your home and your time. And joining us again this year. Have a wonderful Day of the Dead celebration, everybody. Take care. We'd love to see your pictures. Feel free to throw them up now as well. Thank you, Al. Really appreciate you coming today.
You're welcome. Have a good rest of the weekend.
You too. I see your cat back there.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, take care to both of you. Take care. Bye. Thank you.